I think a very big one, frankly, a very, very big one was India and Pakistan. And we stopped that over trade. We're dealing with India and we're dealing with Pakistan, and we say we're not going to be dealing with you at all if you're going to fight. And they were maybe at a nuclear stage. They're both, nuclear powers. And I think stopping that was very important. We're trying to help out with a Biden-created monster, this whole thing that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's a horrible thing, and I'm not happy with President Putin at all. But this is something that would have never happened if I were president. This was a war that was never going to happen. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, how would you address your critics that in the election they said that you would cause the next World War III, when in fact you're solving all the problems?
I'm stopping wars. I'm stopping wars. And I hate to see people killed. Like, as an example, Ukraine and Russia. They're not Americans there being killed. They're not Israeli that are being killed. These are all Russians and all Ukrainians. But it's 5,000, maybe 7,000 last week, 7,500 last week, mostly soldiers. But people in towns and cities that are getting hit. But mostly death is mostly soldiers. Now, so they don't come from here, but it's 7,000 last week souls. And if I can stop that, they have parents and they have sisters and brothers and getting married, and who knows, they're just people, but they're souls. And if I can stop a war, because I have an ability to do so, I'm disappointed, frankly, that President Putin hasn't stopped. I'm not happy about it either.
Mr.
Yes.
President, on the Iran talks, can you say if you've scheduled the next round of Iran talks, and then also on strike?
We have scheduled Iran talks, and they want to talk. They took a big drubbing, I think, when we hit the three sites, really. I would say the three sites, not just the one. The one was a big one, and it was deep in granite, and it was obliterated. It turned out the Atomic Energy Commission said it is obliterated. I would just want to take our hats off to those incredible flyers, the people that flew that big machine, and frankly, the mechanics and everybody else. I mean, they had zero. They flew for 37 hours with zero problem mechanically. I mean, when you think in carrying the biggest bombs ever, the biggest bombs that we've ever dropped on anybody, when you think non-nuclear, and we want to keep it non-nuclear, by the way. But they did a phenomenal job. It was an amazing job, and I think that was, I was talking to Bibi about it before, that was the very beginning of the end. It ended very quickly after that. I don't want to say what it reminded me of, but if you go back a long time ago, it reminded people of a certain other event, and Harry Truman's picture is now in the lobby, in a nice location in the lobby where it should have been, but that stopped a lot of fighting, and this stopped a lot of fighting. When that happened, it was a whole different ballgame.
On future Iran strikes, what might make you have the desire to do another strike on Iran?
Another what?
Another strike on Iran.
I hope we're not going to have to do that. I can't imagine wanting to do that. I can't imagine them wanting to do it. They want to meet. They want to meet. They want to work something out. No, they're different. They're very different now than they were 2 weeks ago.
Is there a date yet, sir, for the Iran talks, or a city? Do you know when and where the next round of Iran talks will be?
Well, I can tell you. I'd rather not say, but you'll be reading about it tomorrow or seeing it tomorrow.
Mr. President, what is the holdup currently in a ceasefire with Hamas?
In which?
In a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, what's currently the holdup?
I don't think there is a holdup. I don't think there's a holdup. I think things are going along very well. They just, left each other, and it was not a pleasant period of a few days. It was a little longer than a few days, but this was not a pleasant period of time. And we were at the end, 14 missiles were shot, and every single missile was shot out of the air. It was pretty amazing. And that was sort of the end. And they told us they were coming and where they were and what time they were coming. And they said, if you'd like to have a different time, we'll do that. And that's respect when they do that. I appreciated that they did that. There was no surprise. We got the soldiers out of the base in Qatar, in this case. But they knew they were coming. 14 missiles were coming. 1 o'clock, they said, would you like to make it later? I said, no, let them come at 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock, everybody was As you know, over 5,000 people left the base, and we had 3 gunners and 3 assistants. And out of the 14 that were shot, all 14 were knocked down, and that was the end. That was about it. And we had a rough time, but sometimes, sometimes you need the rough time in order to get. I think things are going to be really settled down a lot in the Middle East, and they respect us, and they respect Israel. They respect a lot of things that took place. Nobody's ever seen equipment like what we sent over to knock out those sites. But when those sites were knocked out, it essentially, that was the end.
Do you think that there can be a two-state solution that creates an independent?
I don't know. I'd ask Bibi that question. You have the greatest man in the world to answer that age-old question, two-state. Go ahead. You give him your honest answer.
I think Palestinians should have all the powers to govern themselves, but none of the powers to threaten us. And that means that certain powers, like overall security, will always remain in our hands. Now, that is a fact, and no one in Israel will agree to anything else because we don't commit suicide. We want life, we cherish life for ourselves, for our neighbors, and I think we can work out a peace between us and the entire Middle East with President Trump's leadership, and by working together, I think we can establish a very, very broad peace that will include all our neighbors.
Mr. President, question on Iran. You asserted that there's a complete and total destruction of their nuclear facilities. So what is the basis of the talks going forward? Is it to cap future nuclear activity? Is it ballistic missiles, terror support, economic-based opportunities? What are the...
It's really a good question, because if you remember when it was done, I sort of said, what's the purpose of talking? It's been knocked out completely. But they've requested a meeting, and I'm going to go to a meeting, and if we can put something down on paper, that will be fine. That'll be good. I think they've gained a lot of respect for us. I think they've gained a lot of respect for Israel also. But they would like to meet, and we're going to have a meeting. Steve, when is that meeting going to be? Do you want to say?
Rather, very quickly, in the next week or so.
So we'll see what happens. I think it would be nice to memorialize it, put it down, but because of the incredible result of that attack, if you want to call it an attack, I didn't think it was necessary to have it in writing. I think we spoke. I mean, that speaks much louder than writing. But I can also understand why they'd want it. And they've been very nice. They've been very respectful. And it began by them telling us about 14. They had to do. You know what 14 represents, right? Do you know what 14 represents? Right? You know that, right? The number of bombs dropped. So it was, representative. We got them all. Yeah, please. Behind you, please. No, you.
So this is a question for the Prime Minister. The likely next mayor of New York City is Oran Malkan, the Democratic Socialist, the vocal critic of Israel and of yourself, and has said he would arrest you if you came to New York City if he was mayor. Is that something you take seriously, or are you concerned about that? Do you have a response to that?
No, I'm not concerned about that.
I'll get him out.
Look, there's enough craziness in the world, but I guess it never ends. I mean, you have this is folly, and it's it's silly in many ways because it's just not serious. But what is serious is the question I was asked before. After October 7th, people said the Palestinians had a state, Hamas state in Gaza, and look what they did with it. They didn't build it up; they built down into bunkers, into terror tunnels, after which they massacred our people, raped our women, beheaded our men, invaded our cities and our towns and our kibbutzim, and did horrendous massacres, the kind of which we didn't see since World War II and the Nazis, the Holocaust. So people aren't likely to say, let's just give them another state, it'll be a platform to destroying Israel. We'll work out a peace with our Palestinian neighbors, those who don't want to destroy us, and we'll work out a peace in which our security, the sovereign power of security, always remains in our hands. Now, people will say it's not a complete state, it's not a state, it's not that. We don't care. We vowed never again. Never again is now. It's not going to happen again.
So we'll see you in New York next year?
Oh, well, look, I'm going to come there with the President Trump, and we'll see how do you know who the mayor will be? I don't know that. Do we know that?
He's going to be very fine, and who knows, we don't know who the mayor's going to be yet. But this is a communist. He's not a socialist, he's a communist. And he said some really bad things about Jewish people, and he said some really bad things about a lot of people. And I think he's going through a little bit of a honeymoon right now, but he might make it. But, you know, it all comes through the White House. He needs the money through the White House. He needs a lot. He's going to behave. He'll behave. He better behave, otherwise he's going to have big problems. But it's a philosophy that this country is not ready for, and it never will be. By the way, we have a man with us who thought this was going to be a very glamorous, easy job. He's the ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, former governor, former everything. I'd say he's a former everything, and respected and loved by everybody. And he loves Israel. He loves the state of Israel, and nobody loves it much more. And he's not Jewish, and he loves Israel. And he wanted to be there. I said, you know, Mike, it could be dangerous. No. Well, at least I was right about that. He was in every bunker you could be in. He was running around from bunker to bunker, but he's still with us, fortunately, and he's done a great job. Would you say a few words, Mike?
Just want to say what an honor it is to serve you, Mr. President, and to see a historic horizon that we're looking at in the Middle East. And when the President made his trip to the Middle East, and then he really reached out to the new Syrian government, knowing they needed a partner, and knowing that they could pick the wrong partner. And what the President did, which took us all off guard, but the strategic move in that has set up something that is absolutely historic. And Mr. President, I don't even think you fully comprehend the impact that you're having on the region in a way that is so remarkable. And it was your leadership, your foresight, you did that. When the B-2s went in, the celebration, the sense of partnership that you gave with the Israeli people was so dramatic. But the message was bigger than to Israel. It was a message to the world. America's friends can trust us, but America's foes had better fear us. And that is a message that the President sent to everyone on the planet. And it is a message that will resonate toward a matter of peace, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen. So thank you.
Great job you're doing, too.
Thank you.
They love you over there. They respect him and they love him. You know, it's very, very interesting. We had the pilots here yesterday, as you know, and they were incredible. And we also had the mechanics. We had a lot of people here that had to do, a lot of people, I think about 170 people that had to do with that incredible journey, a journey that could have been horrible. You remember what happened with Jimmy Carter with the helicopters and all of the problems, and ultimately hostages. We had the exact opposite. Everything was perfect. It worked perfectly. But I didn't realize, I was saying to one, is this something that you felt strongly about? Absolutely, sir. I couldn't wait. I said, better than you, really better you than me. But they couldn't wait. He said, sir, we've been practicing for this mission for more than 20 years. From just after 2000, they've been thinking and practicing to go into that area. I guess you probably know that better than anybody, Pete. They've been looking at going in, but they never had a president that would allow them to do it. And perhaps right, perhaps wrong. I don't know if that's true or not, but I didn't realize they were preparing for that journey from just a little bit after 2000, the year 2000. And I was pretty amazed by that. They knew it. They knew every inch of it. And they came back and they said, we got it better than we ever did in practice. But they've been practicing for more than 20 years. Can you imagine? Yeah.
On Ukraine, Mr. President, are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard. Very sad. So many people are dying in that mess.
Mr. President, the one big beautiful bill now signed into law by you, what would you like congressional Republicans to turn their focus to?
All they have to do now is talk about how good it is. The biggest tax cuts ever. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, think of it, no tax on overtime. From a business standpoint, the jobs are coming in like we've never seen them before. As soon as that was signed, there were 9 factories that announced that they were building the 1-year deductibility, things that from a business standpoint you'd understand. The jobs that are being created. And one of the things that is, and this is also that, but it's also because of the tariffs, a tremendous success. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. One of the things that is so exciting is the number of companies and car companies where they're building plants. AI is the big thing. We have over $15 trillion announced already, and it's been, really, I would say it's been during the last 3 months, but we're here for a short period of time, and some administrations never had anywhere near that number for that noise. That must have been Elon. Was that who was it?
Bobby's phone was quacking.
Strange. That's all right. We've just completed what many consider to be the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country, and we're just getting started. Things are happening that are amazing, and I would not say it if it weren't fact. In a few short weeks, we've achieved the most secure border in American history by far, 99.9%, which is a number that nobody thought was doable. Biden thought you had to go back to the legislature to get legislation passed in order to create a secure border. You didn't. You just had to have the right president and the right people working it. Congratulations, by the way, and to Tom. For 2 months in a row, we have set the all-time records for the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. The number of illegal border crossers released into the United States is down 99.999%. That is usually 100%. So I think it's an amazing tribute, and Christy, congratulations, and Tom and everybody else. It's an amazing job, actually, and it was done very quickly. We officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we're expelling these monsters from our country rapidly and working with the Department of Justice. Pam, you're doing fantastic. Your people are amazing. We're having some judge problems. Everybody's reading. We're having some judges that don't like, killers, murderers being thrown out of the country. So I don't know what their problem is, but we have little difficulty. We won on the basis of a great border and of getting criminals out of our country. That was why we won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won everything, every metric. We won by a lot. It was a massive victory, and we won, I think, largely because of this issue. I put this issue as #1 issue, and they don't want us to do what we're supposed to do, and I don't think that can be. And I hope the Supreme Court is going to fully understand what's going on. We have to get the criminals out of our country, and that's the basis under which we won the election. Core GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today, and I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is quarterly numbers, and we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country in so many ways, not only at the border was more obvious, but we took over his mess in so many different ways. Core GDP, removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3% when you add it. Elon, was that who was it?
Bobby's phone was quacking.
Strange. changed. That's all right. We've just completed what many consider to be the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country, and we're just getting started. Things are happening that are amazing, and I would not say it if it weren't fact. In a few short weeks, we've achieved the most secure border in American history by far, 99.9%, which is a number that nobody thought was doable. Biden thought you had to go back to the legislature to get legislation passed in order to create a secure border. You didn't. You just had to have the right president and the right people working it. Congratulations, by the way, and to Tom. For 2 months in a row, we have set the all-time records for the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. The number of illegal border crossers released into the United States is down 99.999%. That is usually 100%. So I think it's an amazing tribute, and Christy, congratulations, and Tom and everybody else. It's an amazing job, actually, and it was done very quickly. We officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we're expelling these monsters from our country rapidly and working with the Department of Justice. Pam, you're doing fantastic. Your people are amazing. We're having some judge problems. Everybody's reading. We're having some judges that don't like, killers, murderers being thrown out of the country. So I don't know what their problem is, but we have little difficulty. We won on the basis of a great border and of getting criminals out of our country. That was why we won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won everything. Every metric we won by a lot. It was a massive victory, and we won, I think, largely because of this issue. I put this issue as number one issue, and they don't want us to do what we're supposed to do, and I don't think that can be. And I hope the Supreme Court is going to fully understand what's going on. We have to get the criminals out of our country, and that's the basis under which we won the election. Core GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today, and I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is the quarterly numbers, and we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country in so many ways. Not only at the border was more obvious, but we took over his mess in so many different ways. Core GDP, removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3% when you add it. We had numbers that, despite what we were handed, we turned them around, and we were getting them really turned around. Gross domestic investment was a whopping 22%. Now, that is a number that people are coming in at numbers. For instance, I just walked in, I heard Samsung is now, because of the tariffs, they're going to build massive facilities in the United States. If we didn't do the tariffs, they wouldn't be doing that. So it takes a little while to get those facilities built, but they're coming in with big numbers. They're all coming in with big numbers. We have more money being spent than at any time in the history of our country. We're up to close to $8 trillion, I think I can say. And really, it's going to be a lot higher than that. Those are just the ones that we know about. 8 trillion. I'm not going to say, but I'm not sure if Biden did $1 trillion for 4 years, 1 trillion. But we're at 8 trillion for 2 months, because let's give us a pass on the first month. We were sort of getting a little bit used to things, right? But after 2 months, we have $8 trillion. There's never been a number like that. And that includes chip companies, car companies, every form of manufacturing, high-tech companies. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So $8 trillion. I can talk about gross domestic product, gross domestic investment. I can talk about a lot of things, but to me, the biggest numbers, the kind of numbers that are, and these people are coming in. Our Secretary of Commerce spent the weekend. He went down to Arizona to see what was happening with the biggest chip company in the world. And he said, Howard, you've never seen anything like it. You want to just describe what you saw?
So they're investing $165 billion in 1,100 acres in Arizona, and they're building the highest tech chip manufacturing, semiconductors, and